evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Wino, welcome back. I think it's your, I don't know, 800th time.
Always nice. It's always nice.
Always glad to have you back. You're a friend. It's not just a show. You're a friend of mine, and as is Charlie. So let's first jump in. We got an album to talk about. Got lots of new music. You've been doing a lot, and you just had a gig the other night too.
Yeah. We've been staying pretty busy.
Let's hop in. Let's talk about the album. You're working on. You have a new album together. Not out yet,
Yep.
but
Yeah, it's my fourth solo record. It's called Create or Die. I did it with Frank Marchand, the engineer I've been working with for like Forever Gone, Sacred. It's going to be out on Ripple Records called Create or Die. And basically, I think it's pretty cool. Personally, I think it's a little bit eclectic, but it's also like kind of a snapshot of what I dig. And you've heard a sneak preview.
I have, as I've always been lucky enough to, and it's fantastic. And been lucky because you don't put out any crap music, man. God forbid the day you do anything that I'm like, oh man, it really, it's because I like your style, I like your playing, and I like that you're adventurous. And this album does not disappoint because it's not the obsessed, it's not the acoustic. It's more of a rock record, very riffy.
Yeah, yeah. It came
Maybe
out a
it's,
little bit more like, originally it was going to be an acoustic record, but as time drew near, I realized that the songs that I had would really benefit from like the full thing. So it actually became more of an electric record than just plain acoustic record. Which I mean, as a solo record, I think that's okay. I mean, lucky again to have Todd from Ripple and all the Ripple people behind it. So it's really just a nice venue. So yeah.
well, the thing is, your songwriting is getting even better, if I dare say. I mean, you're really just getting these riffs down. I mean,
The song, the Celtic song on the record, New Terms. That's the name of
mhm.
the company too. That's short for like New Terms for the People. It's a little bit of a protest vibe, but the song New Terms, I always thought it had kind of a Celtic vibe, and so did our engineer. Like Frank Marchand, the guy who I recorded with, he also was the live sound man for this Irish folk band, We Banjo Three. They're pretty
Mhm.
huge actually, as far as like modern art. And so basically, I expressed to him how I would like to hear a Bodhrán drum on it, and he goes, "Man, let me talk to the people." So basically, he sent the files to the two brothers, um, and I ended up getting the Irish banjo and the Bodhrán on there, which is just blew my mind. I mean, because Frank had the connection, and like it happened so fast, we were able to do it. And again, like with the
Mhm.
pedal steel that's on a couple songs on the record too, he knew this cat, Dave Hadley, and he came to the studio and in one day or half a day nailed both Lost Souls Fly and Bury Me in Texas, which I think basically Bury Me in Texas so much needed the pedal steel because it's got a little bit on the traditional side. So man, I'm just totally overjoyed. I mean, really.
But it fits though. It doesn't like the album is very eclectic, but it still fits. It has a good. Once again, it comes down to the song list and how it's done and how it's produced. It
Yeah.
flows. I was surprised when I heard New Terms though. I was like, "What is this?
I know.
Where are we going? Are we
I gotta
going on the
go.
Ozarks? Where are
Yeah,
we going?" Got a
right,
new world feel to it. It was a
right.
very.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
loved it.
You're right. And so like it's hard for me now to decide what are going to be probably do three digital signals. That's going to be one of them. But I think
Nice.
maybe really something a little bit more rock first. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
You
over
know,
to my left is a big screen with all. I got the album up next to me. I don't know, man. Never
yeah.
Say Goodbye. Carolina Fox might be good rock. I didn't.
It's hard to
I don't
say,
know.
right? Yeah,
It is. You got a lot. You got a lot of good songs there. And I think what's great is you can just keep releasing songs that don't put you in like a pigeonhole you into any type of music.
yeah,
Because you kind of done a lot of everything at this point, you
yeah.
know. And I think the thing about this album is I really like to see you flex it and get it out there because this might break you just being the doom riff guy because you're so much more than that guy. It's not a dig. I mean, it's good to be the best, but you're better than that still.
Thank you. I mean, I think that hopefully people will dig it. I mean, there's always going to be. I'm always on the edge of my seat when I do a record like this because you just never know. And, and
Yeah.
whether people like it or don't like it, I mean, I like it. And over the years, I've developed pretty high standards. Like, I'm not going to really let anything go that I don't fully believe in. So, and I believe in Frank, the engineer, a lot. I mean, he's got good ideas. We work really together, especially when it's just me and him. Now, that saying, there are some guests, like I mentioned, the Irish, traditional Irish folk guys, from We've Been to Three on that one song, and then the pedal steel, but also Kyanto, my friend, it's my tech in the Obsessed, my guitar tech. He has a very rich musical history. He played drums on a couple songs. Cameron Queen, this young cat that we know from Maryland, he played drums on one song, and so man, it was really nice to be able to kind of pick and choose the tune, and then kind of have somebody in mind to do it. Like for example, Cameron. So yeah, I mean, I'm super happy. The artwork took a little bit, like the artwork since Creator died. I mean, I did the cover and stuff. Then I also got Brittany Elliott to do a really nice piece for the center of the record, and also the CD face.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll send you all that stuff too.
Yeah, I was gonna think I don't think I see that. I actually put up my own photo of it on yours, so I would lose it in my iTunes. Uh,
Yeah.
but to that point, though, I mean, yeah, I love your artwork. So when you're writing, I mean, so you've had a couple projects. So you got the Obsessed, you're doing Ritual. We'll skip back and forth, solo, and then you do acoustic. But you also do acoustic shows. So when you're writing this, where are you? Like, so if you're writing songs, like the process of writing the Creator Die album, are you coming up with music and going, the song probably should go over here, the song should probably go over here? Are you
Wait.
just kind of taking him to the studio and saying, well, that's not a soul song. That's probably better off the Obsessed. Like,
Yeah, that's true. In a way that happens. I mean, a lot of times when I'm playing acoustic, like if I write a song in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is definitely an acoustic song. It usually stays that way. I mean, on Sacred, though, it was a different story. Stranger Things started out as an
mhm,
acoustic idea, and then I was like, why not just do this electric? So that can't happen. I mean, us or them on the new record, Creator Die, started off as like solely acoustic. But man, I just thought I needed to pile on some electrics to do it justice. But yeah, a lot of times, that is very true. Like they get relegated to the hey, this is a solely like Noble Man for instance, the last song on
mhm.
the record. That's all acoustic. I just felt I wanted that to be naked. And Forever Gone did the same thing with you know, Was Is and Shall Be. I mean, some songs I think they just stand alone, and other songs I just really needed like that electric groove. So I was
Go to
lucky.
it.
I was able to do both.
Well, it is interesting because I mean, it does fit, and you kind of you have all the different projects. You can kind of go there with different things now. You're not locked into making one band. It doesn't have to all your different sounds, and they're like, what group is this? Like, it's pretty easy for the
Yeah.
fans to know what they like.
Yeah. I don't want people to get confused. Like, the only bands I'm in is The Obsessed and Ritual Arcana. I mean, I do acoustic stuff too. Creator Dies, my fourth solo record. So basically, I don't want people to get too confused. Everybody's like, what
No,
band are you in? I can't keep track of the band you're in. I'm like, well, I've only been in one band for 10 years, but, you know,
well, I think because of all the other bands you were in, yeah,
yeah. I,
historically. The problem is, I think what it was is, I mean, you know, you were doing other bands, and between the Obsessed and you were kind of like finding your spot, and I think you found your spot now. That
yeah.
your roots are Obsessed and Ritual, and anything else you have can just do you.
Yeah. And as far as Ritual Arcana goes, I mean, you know, that's my band where my significant other, my wife, plays bass, sings, and wrote all the tunes. Well, basically all the tunes. And so to me, that's really interesting. I've never been in a band with my significant other, and at the same time, I don't sing. I didn't have a mic. We did our first show that I don't have a mic in front of me, which is great. Except I couldn't tell the sound man what I needed when I started having problems. But we're learning. But I mean, it was really amazing, and it's a cool thing for me, really. Like, uh, yeah, it's a cool thing.
Well, so obviously we're very nonlinear when we talk. So the thing with the guitar work on this was like on Create to me, I feel like if fans are like, what are you listening to? I'm like lots of vibes from like maybe 70s, Vanilla Fudge, Rock, Zeppelin. If you like that kind of stuff, you're gonna dig this album, and if you dig Wino stuff, you're gonna dig it because it's got some really great roots. So it's not doomy. It's a good rock record. Now the difference is, well, people can be like, well, he's playing guitar and Obsessed. He plays guitar in all of these bands. It's a little different though because the guitar in this album for Create does not sound like Obsessed. And now Ritual, which I've heard three tracks, I think, a couple of banjo tracks. Now, what I've heard is the guitar in this, I was saying it kind of feels like it falls down a path and it kind of goes more on a journey where it's not driving the song as much as that. You know, the driver in Ritual is much more of Charlene's voice, her vocals, her intonation, how she performs that song, and where she's going with it, which allows you to do something different with guitar that you don't do it anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of fun as a fan.
Yeah, I'm filling in I mean, there's a lot of guitar, there's a lot of soloing and stuff, but I mean, it's really like following her tune, following her structure. I mean, it's really very interesting, and I think very challenging music for me, actually, the ritual stuff. I mean, Create or Die, that's my solo record. I've had some of those songs are new, and some of them I had in my pocket for a long time that I've never seen the light of day, like, Carolina Fox, etc. But Ritual, playing the way she developed her style after a few years of playing bass. She immediately started writing. And see, to me, that's what it's all about, because I never understood how, like a really accomplished guitar player, let's say like Segovia, or an accomplished, classical guitar player, Segovia, for example, he's playing like Bach and shit like that on guitar. Okay, that's cool. But can he write a song? It really is about the power of the song, no matter what band it's in, no matter what band, no matter how you slice it, it's the power of the song. And I don't see how anyone could play and not write. I mean, I get it, I get it in terms of like, you're showing somebody something, or you're so, you're so good that, you can play anything, but I never understood how you could really pick up an instrument and not write. I mean, that's just me, but she
Well,
did that right away.
she does. Well, that's what I thought was surprising. Like for me, like I'm not a good guitar player by any means, but I mean, but when I was younger, I used to play keyboards. Anything I ever play, like I'm not good at, but like I'd always say I'll write something. I'll still write. I'll still always have an idea.
Right.
Now, is it worth performing and saying, "Hey, I'm a songwriter"? I wouldn't be bragging about that, but I still feel the desire once you have an instrument in your hand at any level to create, create or die. But what she did is came in and took an instrument and learned it at the same time. But she also kind of created a style now that is very different. And it took me a lot of listens to wrap my head around the album. I wanted to give a fair, I do anyhow. And I dig her style, but it's very different.
It's different.
It's it's exciting because it's different.
Yeah, it's so different. It's also challenging. It's like it's not. She wasn't born and raised like on jamming, like I was, like jamming Sabbath or jamming, Allman Brothers or Stones, like I was. And she wasn't ever, she wasn't born and raised on jamming 154 blues like I was too. So like the way she approaches, her writing and phrasing and stuff is completely different. Like
like jazz. It's kind of like jazz, right? It's got all these different time signatures in it.
Yeah, it's different. And like I said, it's really challenging. So it's like,
Yeah.
You don't change. We're not changing on the 2 and the 4 all the time. Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting. So I like that, man. I always really like a challenge. When somebody else is singing and writing, and I'm learning playing somebody else's stuff, it's cool. But I also, since we're only 3-piece, I can throw in my little flair, And so when we did the demos, I just sat down and played the tunes before I fully really knew the song, before I understood. So now that playing them live and stuff like that, really understanding the terms and listening to her lyrics. Her lyrics are amazing. I mean, her lyrics are like, they're deep, and they can be a little edgy if you want, but they're positive. And I think that's really cool. With this record, the theme is all about the tarot. Supernatural rock, but it's all about the tarot. Like every song has has an attachment to a card, It's I think it's an amazing concept. I'm totally down. And the one song I did write on the record included, I mean, most people would probably be able to tell that that's my tune. But even though I wrote the words, she sings it. And like, I just gave her the lyrics and laid it on her desk and left. When I came back, she had already arranged it, how she was going to sing it and phrase it, which I thought was totally amazing. I'm completely happy. And, again, it's strange, but, looking over and seeing your wife in your band playing bass, that's brand new for me. And I'm all about it, man. Really.
Well, that's exciting on a level too, because you guys aren't just a husband and wife in a level. You guys are also creative partners on a lot of different entities. Because this isn't a surprise that all of a sudden she's got this jamming with you, because what you guys got going on is she shot video for you. You guys have done art together. She's working on tour. So you guys have worked together on many levels creatively, besides an emotional relationship.
Right.
So this is not totally uncharted. So her picking up the bass was just bringing it to the next level, and then her taking charge because obviously you've been doing this for many years and you have a reputation.
Yeah.
You
No
kind of
competition.
stepping back.
Yeah, there's no professional jealousy or anything like that there. I mean, I'm totally glad that she's doing what she's doing with Ritual, and I'm just glad to be in the band. I mean, it's
Yeah, and
like,
I want to say this. I'm gonna say, and it's not, and I'm not just shining at you on. I mean, she deserves to be the lead in this spot. This is not just because she's your wife. She's good. She's talented. This is a good album. These are good songs. You know what I mean? What the hell's going on behind me? That's an effect I don't know about. I'll have to fix that. So she is good, and that was bizarre, wasn't it?
how did that happen?
I don't
I don't
know.
know what that was a praise to Charlene.
Oh, she probably had cards and her voodoo dolls out. No, probably some stupid AI thing taking over the world. The point is, she stands her own. It could be anybody's band. It wouldn't be your band. You wouldn't. I'd still dig this project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She stands on her own as an artist. 100%. You compliment it, but she 100% is
right.
solid. I just think it's more to say. So that someone's like, "Oh, he's got his wife, he's got his girlfriend." You know, people do that. Don't be
No,
lazy, people. Don't be lazy.
that's right.
Listen,
That's right.
it's a band
Yeah.
with
People accept
three
it, but
musicians.
when with the Obsessed, when we did a short period in the Obsessed history, we never recorded anything, but we did 5 or 6 shows where at the time my ex fiance was in the band. Sarah she played guitar in the Obsessed, and then we got Bruce Falkenberg from the Hidden Hand back in the band, and so that we played 5 or 6 shows before it fell apart. But I mean, so people were like, were wary about what was going to happen, but once they saw Sarah play in the Obsessed, they were like, okay, I get it. It didn't go very far, but I mean, again, it was just she's a great musician. She could feel anything I threw at her. So the amazing thing about Charlie and her this trip is when she decided she wanted to play bass, I was like, fuck it, let's not fuck around. Let's go straight to fucking Troy. Went to Level Fuzz, and I said, let's get you something good. So she bought a 1967 Gibson EB-0 bass, right? And then I had a little bit of dough, and I was like, I'm gonna put together a good, a stadium bass rig. So basically, I got her a Trainer 215, 215 inch speakers in each, Sherwin Vega speakers that can handle 300 watts. So it's a pretty beefy cabinet, and an SVT cabinet powered by an Acoustic 370, which is like a 70s kind of head that has a lot of power. So man, it's a pretty balls out rig right out of the gate. Yeah.
Okay, Sugar Daddy. That is a good one. That is a
Yeah. Gearhead, gearhead. Dad. Like my goal is to make everybody around me gearheads. Musical
but
gearheads.
no, I know that. It's funny that you can say it's funny, but like you were actually just always a giving person. I wasn't even mad at your wife. You were just always giving to people. That's your reputation. So it's
That's
not
what
even surprising when you
I
have
enjoy,
something you put
I
out there.
enjoy that. I mean, enjoy that. I mean, to me, to give somebody a great gift, I mean, that's way more rewarding. It's just rewarding, man.
I agree. I agree. So the balance of this. So as a fan, before we did the theater, I'm thinking, how am I going to approach this? Because you got so much going on, and we're the fans going to see. So let's talk about you got a new album coming out. Ritual's still in the works, and then people are going to ask about what's also going on with the Obsessed at some point.
Okay.
So let's look at the before we get go on in our conversation. What are we looking at? So let's talk. The first thing will be your solo album.
Yeah,
It is recorded,
so
complete.
and the artwork's all done. Basically, I'm waiting. I'm just right now waiting to hear about a release date for Creative Diary. We'll be out on Ripple, um, and I don't really know when, but it'll be out on vinyl and CD, of course. And so that's coming. That's gonna be the next thing I know. Like I couldn't even know if I could find my telephone. But anyways, aside from that, the Obsessed is also we were really blessed to have been asked by Acid Bath to do a show with them. Like everybody knows that the Acid Bath has reformed and now it's
Yep.
taking their rightly place in rock. And they've asked us to do a show with them, so we're going to be playing August 28th in Los Angeles with Acid Bath, and
That'd be awesome.
yeah, it should be cool. Along with Pig Destroyer, we're going to be the first of three. So we're really looking forward to that. And then we have an October tour in Europe with the Obsessed, which is going to be pretty major. It goes mostly the whole month. Yeah. And then as far as Ritual goes, the record is recorded, mastered, and everything right now. But since we paid for it, we're actually shopping, trying to find a deal right now. So anybody, we're looking at all offers
Wait, for which one? The
for Ritual.
Ritual? Okay, so
That
all
record is
right.
already recorded, self-titled.
Right.
But I'm saying,
Let's
that's
let's go. Let's back from it. So So self-titled though could go out between next month to a couple months out, probably, right? You're probably looking to
Great
maybe
God.
summer. Yeah, so your original one, your solo one, summer to fall, maybe.
Yeah, a couple months. I mean, it usually takes. Usually, there's a 6 month turnaround. Usually,
Yeah.
because I just got all the art to Todd. He's got the music. I mean, I don't know. It's probably 5 or 6 months from now, probably.
Okay. So that's where that. Are you going to do anything? That, touring, you do acoustic stuff. Would you incorporate some of that stuff? Would you put together a band to do some of that stuff, even on a small
Yeah,
local level?
when the time comes, I mean, once the record's out, I'm playing some of those songs now when I play acoustic. I'm always going to play acoustic. Whenever I get the chance to fill in the gaps,
Right.
I love that. I'll be playing some of that stuff. But when the time comes when the record's out, we'll see whether I
Okay.
put.
So that's just a
Yeah,
thing. That's a question I go out there. All right. Now, Ritual, done, mastered, owned, ready, shopping it.
not it.
Okay. Did Ripple look at it? Is it
Not yet.
okay? But it could be. It's different though. It is a very different album. I'm gonna say right now. So
Different. And also like we won't we do have a couple specifications considering we've already paid for it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we'd like to recoup, and we'd like to see a pretty
you
good deal.
should you should make money. It's the goal things.
Yeah, exactly. And we bring to the table not only that but also Charlene's masterful video editing stuff.
Yeah.
So so we're taking our time with this because we want it to be right. And it's also weird times right now. It's weird times. Nobody's got any money, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. So I'll just do more of the fan base stuff. I think also the fans should know that like if say like a Ripple doesn't want it or someone else doesn't want it, it's not because of the album and it's not because of the label. Just sometimes it doesn't always work out for other reasons, and it doesn't mean bad about either people. So when people think, "Oh my God, it didn't go on Ripple, there must be a problem," that doesn't mean anything. It just means it didn't work out for two people.
It's a whole separate entity, and like, but
Right, but behind the
and
scenes, people
also,
don't know that.
basically, I'm in the band, but
Right.
technically, it's not really my band. But I mean, I'm in the band, so it's my band. But I mean, the decisions don't all fall on me and
But they
my.
have their own roster and they have their own budgets and stuff, and they have got their own plans. It doesn't drop out of the sky. So my point is,
Wide open right now. I don't
right,
know what's going
yeah, that's cool. All right, then now when that's done, tour, small local. We're gonna just tour before, or do some shows in the meantime too, for the ritual.
I think that we're going to do a couple shows this summer. And then we're working in between the schedules of our drummer, because Oak's in the Black Lips, and so they have stuff coming up. So basically, we're looking at our schedules right now and deciding like to fill the gaps. Like we want to play cool local shows, maybe in the city, New York City. Um, I'm looking at this place that does outdoor shows. It's kind of a Stoner Rock venue. It's a mead brewing place, right? So up this way. So that's one of the things I'm looking at. And
Okay.
we don't have any management, booking age or anything with Ritual. Ritual's like free and clear. So anything we do with that, we're going to be doing like kind of on our own for now. Yeah, I mean, it feels good to be kind of independent. I mean, of course, we'd like to see, on a label that gets some good distribution and stuff. So we'll see.
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, there's a lot of concept and a lot of thought in the album. It is definitely we call it a concept album, but with everything being tied together, it is kind of a concept. So there's a lot of thought, and then of course the video, anything if there's any video production you do, it's all gonna be tied together. So there's a lot of work in the band. So you should get a payoff
Yeah,
for it because
I mean, I know what it is. I mean, our really, we just want to play. We want to
you know
play, and we'd like to hear. We'd like to see other people get exposed to music too. So yeah, it is. We're trying to put some thought into it, man. You have to these days, You know.
you do, and so the other question would be um the obsessed. So you're going to play out in October. Are there going to be any US shows?
We're doing the Acid show in August.
But that's it though, right?
Yeah, we're doing the
Probably.
Acid show in August, and we're doing the October tour, and that's all the Obsessed has booked for right now. I mean, we're writing a new record, writing some new songs, and Jason lives.
So you are doing that.
Yeah, Jason lives really close to me now, so we've got the perfect opportunity. The two guitar players to like put songs together.
Yep.
So yeah, so August is going to be the show, and then October, and then after once we're back to the new year, we'll probably be hitting it hard. I would imagine because we'll probably.
So well, that you kind of answer my question because I'm thinking, all right, if you have one album, a new album waiting in the can go out, Ritual's also recorded.
Yeah. Well, we don't have
So,
all the Obsessed stuff for that record is not recorded yet.
no, I'm saying, but you have time now and you don't sit still. Usually,
Exactly.
by the end of this interview, we could have a band together. Who knows with you? You're always putting bands together, you know. But my point is like it's still early in the year before you do any of that stuff. A lot going on in that time. Would that be time for besides acoustic stuff, maybe some more writing for the obsessed and stuff?
Well, I'm gonna be obsessed and say we'll start rehearsing. We'll start rehearsing probably in late July for the art, or maybe a couple weeks before the August show. But until then, I'm going to be playing acoustic. I'm playing acoustic guitar on the 4th of July at a local bar here. It's
Mhm.
fun Van Deusen's in Lexington, New York, and then we're going to be doing probably a couple Ritual Arcana shows that we haven't booked yet, and then that's probably going to be about it. But
All
I mean,
right.
still a lot of good stuff happening.
Well, there's a lot going on. It just seems like a lot because now,
It is.
you,
Well, we like to stay busy, man. I really do.
but for fans, the way this could peak out, it could be realistically towards the end of the year, they're going to be getting like a solo album, Ritual,
Yeah.
Obsessed into the next year. Like, I mean, within probably, it could be like within 6 months, there could be three albums coming out. You never know,
Fantastic. Bring it.
you know?
Yeah.
So you can be very busy working all those. And, it's important that people know that Ritual is a band, not a project. So there'll be more work to come from that, more plays, more shows.
Absolutely.
Obsessed is not going anywhere. And when you're not doing those two, you do solo, whether it's acoustic or this great new rock album.
That's exactly right.
You know, I think you could clear up. I think it's a very clear for people to understand where you're at right now as far as that. You know,
And that's accurate. That's accurate. You've definitely you've encapsulated everything.
well, it's incredible the amount of songs. Like, so as we talk about this, I think about like how many other songs do you have like rough recorded? Because let me just say this first before you answer that. Because you know what's happening, you start thinking about it, like you see like Prince died or Eddie Van Halen died and Zappa died, and everybody has these vaults of music,
Right.
but they're not always where you want them as an artist.
Yeah. I
That
really.
that's a weird spot because some people I'm like, I still want to hear Eddie Van Halen stuff. I'm not one to judge, but as an artist, you want to respect them. But I want to hear Frank Zappa stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, where does it stand for you with Unreleased?
We were listening to the radio today and we heard this version of Stooges down on the street, and there was a keyboard at the very beginning. We're like, it's got to be an outtake. It has to be an outtake. Like, it was completely weird. But basically, what I'm trying to do is I'd really like to buy a good reel to reel, like
Yep.
and record some of the stuff I have, because like right now I've got, like, as far as acoustic goes, I've got like four songs that are almost all complete, but not quite. I mean, a lot of that I overlap with songs a lot. Like, all of a sudden one will magically take precedence because I've I've discovered the lyrics or whatever it might be. But man, that's always how it is. And so some of the songs created are pretty old, some of them are new. I mean, that's the way it is with pretty much all my releases. But because I have these musical ideas that I carry around, and it really takes its inspiration. Sometimes when you get it, when you everything is done all at once. When I get the idea for the music and the lyrics all at once, that's a divine inspiration. That doesn't happen
So
all the time.
yeah, but right. Well, that's the whole point. But for you, it sounds like so you don't have a lot of finished stuff recorded. You have bits and pieces recorded here and there.
The finished stuff that's recorded is recorded, and then the bits and pieces are not recorded because, well, maybe on GarageBand a little bit. They're mainly in my head because I don't really dig. I mean, I understand the concept of demoing, and we demoed Ritual Arcana too, and it's a good reference, and that's cool. Get an idea how to do it, but as far as like my thing is, if songs finish, go in the studio and record it.
Well, that's how you do it. But you write like that's how you do all your music when you're in charge. It's Wino led.
Right.
The machine's all up in here.
Yeah,
So that's it. That's how you do it.
Demos. We did the whole record demoed out, and as a matter of fact, we used the demo as a reference because of how we really liked how some of the parts turned out. And
Well, I
so,
think that's the difference of having a band when everyone's writing.
yeah, that's right.
Demos are good because then you can say, that's not what I'm thinking. That's what you were hearing because that's not what I'm hearing.
Right.
You're hearing everything in your head,
Right.
and you're the captain of your ship, and you're like, this is what I'm hearing. I mean, input's good, but I'm still the captain of the ship.
That's right. And Shirley, she told me straight up, I hear solos here, and here. I would do them, and she would, I mean, she would tell me whether she liked them or not. I mean, as a rule, we're together. We're tight enough to where I understand where she wants, and also
Mhm.
it's a rock, man. It's just hard rock, and that's it's what we do. So
But that's important. So okay, so you really don't have many things put aside. So if anything ever like You
No,
don't have like,
actually, I have another tune that I'm going to bring to Ritual Arcana, and then I have 4 or 5 songs right now that are half finished. That'll be acoustic or become obsessed songs. So that's, I mean, there's always something in the pipeline, you know. But
you don't have an archive. I'm saying you don't have a bunch of stuff sitting around like, let me go back and listen to this box of stuff I've listened to, I've recorded.
I don't, but I mean, so other people from my past have a lot of that shit. Like Mark Lowry, the original bass player, the obsessed. He's got so much fucking shit you wouldn't believe it, you know. But this is the guy that buys the the name early on, way back when he bought the name, www.theobsessed.com, and then
Yep.
never did anything with it, just held it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of like, you know, people really need to get past their, well, with me, like if I, your word is your bond. You know,
Right.
if I tell you that I'm going to do something with you, then I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You
you
don't need any
always do.
paper. You don't need any paper on it. You know, or a handshake. You know, deals can be made on a handshake, but that's how I like to do business. But at the same time, a lot of people ain't like that. No.
You are on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to that, though. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
it's easy dealing with you. It's easy being friends with you because you are what you see. And for
Yeah.
me, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like there's no complications.
People tell me, look, you got a big heart, you're gonna get burned. And my what I say to that is, let it fucking burn, because I don't want to be like the people I hate, or the
Hmm.
concepts. I don't want to, I don't want to be part of the concepts that I hate, or you know what I mean, or the I.
You're gonna get you're gonna get burned or hurt anyhow, even if you're a jerk.
That's
You
right.
get hurt anyhow. People are gonna burn you anyhow.
That's right.
Actually, if you're nice, you'll have less people burn you because you're being
Right.
nice.
That's right. That's right. And you got a couple you have to have a couple pillars of your core philosophy that you stand by, and that's like, I believe in free speech, obviously, and I don't get really whatever anyone else believes is totally cool. Everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe, as long as it doesn't come down on me. Like if I say that, if I'm telling, having a little talk and I'm believing in some things, people, haters come down on me specifically because of what I'm saying, because it doesn't fit in their ideology. That's not something, that's not pleasant. But that happens. But I mean, my thing these days is like really like live and let live. Um, I feel pretty. I mean, I feel fairly hopeful still.
I think so. And when I first talked, we started talking the great COVID talk when everybody freaked out. To me, I enjoyed it, and I think with that conversation started with me is it started making me even be more open minded to everything in the world.
Ooh,
Like
that's good.
talking to you, and like to me, I ask you questions, and even like, and I don't think I'm not in the same path for a lot of things, but I'm also not 100% agreeing with anybody either. I'm
Right.
probably more in the middle now,
Right.
and I'll text you. You know me. I'll be like, hey, I just saw something news. What do you know? Because I want more information. I
I
want,
think that made me happy that you did that, because I was more than happy to share my opinion.
yeah,
Me and my son,
yeah,
for example, my oldest son,
yeah.
he's in his first year of med school, and we had to just agree to disagree, and we have to, because he doesn't agree with hardly anything I say, but he's also my son, and he's also pretty
Yeah,
young.
sure.
Here's the thing: it's like, you know, this is what I told him, and this is why we understand each other. The stuff that I believe in, and the stuff that I talk about and try to share with other people is not out of anything except love. If I didn't care about the world, if I didn't care about humanity, or I didn't care about people, then I wouldn't say any of this shit, because I wouldn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's out of the basic core, is out of just love, and caring for the human race, or whatever it might be. I mean, even though that sounds fucking, however that sounds, I mean, but that's the bottom line. So we agree to disagree, but we both know that, you know, uh, the more we jockey for position, me and him, then we both understand that it's just out of love.
Well, and it's important to be able to do that. And I think I've learned a lot. That's one of my favorite things about our friendship is I've learned so much
Yeah.
about being open-minded. And I've been open-minded with so many things these past couple years. Like my mind is just exploded with just being
And that's
open.
fantastic. I remember when that happened to me, the person that inspired me to start thinking out of the box. And man, it was really interesting, because I can't remember who it was, but I was somebody that's like, that I'm into, did an interview, and they said that what got them into like thinking out of the box was they read Fingerprints of the Gods, and that's what happened with me. I read that book, and I started to question, okay, why is this that way? It was amazing. I can't even tell you, like,
I haven't read that yet.
Gods, okay, but Fingerprints of the Gods. All basically what it is it's a book on the Sphinx and these, the Egyptian pyramids, about how they went there and they did tests on them, with a real geologist ran through. I mean, it's definitely like it's documented, so it's real. And they did tests on these structures and found out they're way older.
Wait, is it Fingerprints? It's not Chariots of the Gods, right?
Fingerprints of the gods, yeah.
Because you know the book Chariots of the Gods?
Yeah, Danson, that happened way earlier. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a cool theory, but he doesn't really back it up. Fingerprints of the gods is like, is a real scientific experiment backed up by
Okay. I'll have to follow because I had read that a long time ago when I was younger. So I'll have to read this.
Yeah. Now we can talk about that in a minute, but that book, Fingerprints of the Gods, is what really, because that's not what they discovered and proved scientifically is not the word from the official word from the government, like they printed textbooks and shit like this. The pyramids are actually a lot older. So then I started that made me think, why is our government who prints these textbooks or these books, why are they telling us the wrong date? There must be a reason. So then I started. That's what got me going on the whole thing. Like, why should I trust them? Let me dig a little bit deeper. That's solely the one book. And so and my question to myself is always like, why do I want to dig deeper? Or why do I not like believe what's at face value? That's always been that way. So I don't really understand why some people, they don't care and they just want to live their life, and that's cool too. But some people want to dig deeper. Some people don't like. No, I don't believe this. I don't believe. I can see that something's a little shady here, so I want to see what's the real, reason. And that's it puzzles me sometimes.
The thing is now, and I think we also on the internet, a lot of things that we did learn. This isn't conspiracy. This is actually out there. Um, wasn't proven. It wasn't taught in educational. It wasn't 100%. Those things are coming out in the general media.
Well, we know
Right?
for sure that the people that had all the money, like especially the people like Rockefeller, especially,
Hmm.
they were able to literally rewrite the history of America, of the United States. They
Right.
were able to literally, because they owned Rand McNally, who writes the textbooks for schools. So they control what's taught in schools. Okay. So once that starts to happen, it's the whole, it's just one thing. Still, I still believe 100%. It all goes back to what I still believe 100%, that we're like experiencing. Uh, it's kind of like a fight, really, between the people that like really don't want to keep humanity around. If they want to kind of like thin the population, blah blah blah, run by like a very select few bloodline folks that aren't really into humanity. And I believe this is what's happening is a very very old plan. You know, for example, the Committee of 300 is a pamphlet that went around that's pretty well known, but basically in it, this guy who was very close, he was intelligence. He explained straight up that the North America was declared a no growth after the Industrial Revolution, and that's why we have all the wars and everything that's totally set us back. I mean, if we didn't have wars and all this strife, we would be so far advanced as a race, you know.
Yeah.
And so I get it, like a no growth. I mean, and you see it happening because you see it happening with like the heavy taxes that forced all the corporations to leave the United States at one point in time. And under Obama, the United States was like the hardest place in the world to start have your own a small business. Tax at the wazoo. So finally, everybody started going to Mexico. Of course, then you got the Chinese in there. I mean, come on. Bottom line is, I think that there really is kind of pressures to keep people from expanding expanding their spiritual knowledge. Being able to have a business without any hassles. I mean, it seems like every time something gets going good, there's just more and more pressures. Like this new small business law. If you don't report like every employee and all their information, everything about these employees and all that shit, then you're gonna get fined. I mean, the Real ID, great example. Okay, all right, you know what I'm saying? It's just nothing but a hassle. Like, why instead of growing and growing into it and up and out, it's more like how much can we fucking subdue you? How much can we control you? And see that the control thing is like a problem. But that
Now, wait, let me ask you the real ID thing. I remember they've been rolling this out for like what 15 years. It seems like for a long time. When I got my license like 8 years ago, where I got it,
yeah.
I just said I wanted it, and I got it put on my license.
I had it on my license too without asking for it.
I don't know like all the struggles now. I'm like, they said it was going to be easier down the road for like a passport and stuff. I said, all right, just put it in there. I didn't do everything.
What it is, if you have a passport, you don't need
I don't. Right, but
Right, but see, the thing about it is, you have to supposedly you have to have the real ID to travel domestically. Okay, now this is part of a big. This is a big problem because what you have here is you have an unnecessary corral, and they want. I was behind this old couple. I mean, they were like literally in their 70s, maybe 80s, and they were had all the documentation from their whole lives to get their real ID, and it wasn't enough. They were freaking out, as I would be. I mean, I was freaking out behind them. Bottom line is like I've got a passport, and they say that's cool for everything. I mean, people start. A lot of states are bucking it. All it is a control trip. But I'll tell you something right now. Whenever you sign something, whenever you sign anything, your signature is the strongest bond that they have to you. So when you sign that form for the real ID, if you don't read all that fine print, you're basically signing away a lot of your rights. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on now regarding like you know that where you have to be really be careful you don't sign away you're signing away your rights to be a human being practically.
I'm pretty good about not signing my name on things when people aren't paying attention.
That be careful. But
I've been known.
I keep coming back to your word is your bond. Like that's something I saw written somewhere and I just really resonated with me. Like that's like old school. Like in the old days there weren't cell phones. We didn't have any internet. Like if you told somebody you're going to be somewhere at a certain time, you were usually there. And if you're going to be late,
Right.
you found a payphone to call them. I don't know.
Well, that was the joke. I drove by somebody's house the other day, and someone's bike was outside. I'm like, I never see bikes outside. I'm like,
Right.
that's when you knew the posse was there. All the bikes were outside in front of the house. That's when stuff was going down. It was 4 o'clock or whatever. That
Right.
was, that was the thing. But it was interesting is just because there's a lot of stuff you talked about in the past, and you've gotten a lot of slack for, and now there's such a division, and no one believes anybody, and a lot of stuff comes up now.
Right.
It's very
But
topical. You're on this years ago.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, nobody believes anybody at this point, either side.
Right. I really think that like it's like the song that created I. It's kind of like us or them. It really is. I mean, by them I mean there is. I believe, and nobody has to believe this, but what I believe in my core is that there is an opposition, concerted opposition that's got a lot of money that are like pushing hard against growth, spiritual, and basically humanity, pushing hard against humanity because they don't they look upon the common guy as a useless eater, you know, entitlements and all that kind of shit. Okay, look, my dad when I grew up, my dad was a hardcore Republican, right? And so of course when you're younger, you're gonna buck the system, right? So like I don't listen to what he said, and some of it made sense, some of it didn't. I mean, but here's what I learned. Okay, I was a registered Democrat. I voted for Obama the first time. And then I was like, well, I started to get a weird feeling. So I decided I'm going to become an independent. So I did. So when I went to the polls to vote in the primaries, I couldn't. You can't
Yep.
vote in the primaries,
Nope.
right? So what does that tell you? Like right out of the gate, I said, man, it seems fixed.
That's an issue I always complain about because like I was Democrat for voting because I didn't want to be Republican. At the same time, I didn't want to be trapped as a Democrat. I was like more like going Green Party
Right.
to liberal to independent because I just wanted to vote for whoever wanted to. I
Right.
didn't want to take sides. I just wanted to vote
Exactly.
for
That's what I
right.
was exactly.
But you didn't have the choice, so they forced you to just pick a party.
So it's a
And
two-party system.
right, so that's and then that and how many people are can vote for each state. It's uneven. The whole thing.
The electoral college,
Yeah,
all that.
that's just ridiculous.
That
So
population, because there's no way that like some states are just more or less populated. So I understand there has to be some kind of compensation, but that shit's got to be overhauled. Like I remember the day with Tom DeLay, gerrymandering, the lines of the states, to try to get more votes. Well, whatever it is, bottom line is that it's fixed. It has to be.
I think what's happening, if you notice, because you had Republicans that went against Republicans, and then now Democrats weren't happy about it. That's why things happened because Democrats weren't delivering it. And so, but I was doing an interview with a musician the other day, and he says something really interesting. He feels like it's kind of positive that all the outsiders, all the outliers now, this is bringing all the outliers in together now. The ones
Right.
that felt they didn't have a voice.
because people have common sense. I mean, no matter whether you're
Not everybody has common sense. You have the internet.
right, whether you're left or right, whether you're left or right, though. I mean, you can see like what's look, that's stupid or that doesn't make any sense. It's all about bettering humanity. Like anybody can tell you anything they want, but if it's getting more and more expensive to put food on the table, or if your gas, getting gas at the pump is like astronomical, then you're gonna that's the things that count. Like so, the enemy can say, "Oh, the economy's great," but if your kids can't get a job or whatever it might be, then it's bullshit. I think that the president we have now, I think was the X factor. I don't think he was ever supposed to be taking a big part of this picture that he was, and he was the X factor. Like so now everything is blown open. Blown wide open.
Well, I think that's what happened. There's a big spot, and I just think people are so upset. And
I mean, a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are happy. I mean, here's the bottom line: no matter how you slice it, the name of the game of the opposition to humanity is divide and rule. Classic. So, what us, like the common people or the common foot soldier, you, me, and people, that listen to music or art or believe in like free speech and expression, we need to everybody needs to just forget this bullshit. This left right bullshit, because it's leading us down a dangerous trap. There's a lot of people I respect. I can look at some of the stuff they post and I'm like, wow, it's got the wool pulled over their eyes, because it's all fucking theater, really, if you think about
yeah,
it.
I see that. I can see it on both sides, and I
Yeah.
see that. And I won't post about politics, and I'm not. This isn't even a politic talk. This is
It's dangerous shit these days, man.
right. And this is what we're doing here is we're having a human talk, because I have people that are on both sides, and I'm not going to fight with either of them. I
And
might not agree with
I'm
you.
not going to say. I'm not going to say what I
Right.
who I vote for, what I do, because it
No,
doesn't matter.
it
Basically,
doesn't even matter.
I care about people. I care about humanity. I want
Yeah.
to rock and roll, and what we've gained, I want to keep. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, we're all losing. It doesn't matter who's in charge of government. All the people are losing when we get divided like this. Even if your team's winning, you're still losing because the people are divided. That's
And
the strength of it.
we've been under cartel control since Kennedy. Absolutely.
This is it's the whole. It's bad, and I think one of the good things with the show is how many, musically, there's a common thread, and it always makes me feel like there's hope,
Yeah, that's
hope,
right. That's right.
you know, because everybody agrees on that. We're all on the same page. And then if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, you're kind of saying the same thing, even though somebody might be somewhere else. You're like, well, it kind of sounds like this person's saying too. Maybe there should be lines.
Why are they chiming in against something? They're into humanity, right? Like my question these days is, okay, do you pay taxes? Yeah. Well, wouldn't you want to see where your tax money goes? Wouldn't you want to see your tax money going someplace good as opposed to like somewhere else, like in charge of another? I can't really understand why somebody would pay taxes and then be okay with their tax money being used to finance another country's, something like that. I mean, that to me, it's weird. Okay, same thing is like, okay, anybody who says, "Oh, sovereign citizen," that's an oxymoron. Those two words don't go together, because citizen in
Hmm.
legal speak means something completely different than what we think citizen means.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like being a citizen, all that means is you're a slave, really. And so people, the sovereign movement is cool, but sovereign citizen, that's an oxymoron. You know?
It's funny because like I always go through back times. I read a lot of music. I'm a history buff, and going through
Cool.
a phase where I've been listening to a lot of the Civil War lately,
Yeah.
and it mirrors so much of what's going on right now.
Right.
You know.
And you hear that term being echoed, Civil War in the United
Well,
States.
I'm not even saying the war part itself. I'm saying the behaviors
Yeah.
of the governments, the peoples, the other countries that happened during that time are modeling situations that are happening similar. You
If
know.
anybody's interested in really digging deep into the law, then I would recommend reading some stuff by Anna Reitzinger. She's a fiduciary in Alaska, judge of sorts, and she writes some really interesting stuff. It's a Christian band, so if you can handle that or not. But Anna Reitzinger, she's a very, very intelligent person writing about law. And what's really interesting is when you read about real American law, there's not two constitutions, but there's basically two constitutions. You have the United States Incorporated,
Mhm.
which comes from the Dutch East Indies, which comes from the big maritime shipping. That was the only way that people got stuff in the days was ships would bring it. So you had
Right.
these companies that had corporations that had monopolies on trading. You had the Virginia company, you had the
Yeah.
Dutch East India Company. So right, so that's two different setup. The corporation set up in the United States where we're still under maritime law, which is true, and then you have the United States, the United States where the states are sovereign. That's kind of pushed back. So in reality, is the president could be. That's why they're saying, "Oh, this overlapping presidency thing," because you have the corporation and you have the states. It's different, but sovereign states is basically the way it should be, whereas the corporation is false, and that's why you have your straw man and all that kind of bullshit, right? It's hard to wrap your head around. It is, and I can't say that I'm explaining it very good either. But bottom line is Anna Reitzinger. You can go to her website, Anna Reitzinger, and it would amaze you. But I never knew a lot of stuff on finding out about Lincoln. Like everybody's like Lincoln was a benevolent president. Well, an executive order, presidential order, is technically unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution that backs up a presidential executive order. Lincoln started it, and it's been going on ever since. But another interesting thing is that Lincoln, uh, he there was a big vote happening, and this one senator that was going to pass the casting vote, the vote that was going to cause the other side to pass. He grabbed him off the street and put him in jail, so he couldn't vote. So that's really interesting because that's a very early example of like where,
Didn't hear that.
where we are now. I don't know.
Lincoln was a very interesting person to begin with, though.
Yeah. Well, Anna Reitzinger, it's an amazing person.
I'll have to check her out.
Learn about the law, like especially if you're American, it's amazing to learn like what the real law is, as opposed to like what you think it is.
Really?
Yeah, he's great. But Jordan Maxwell is what I meant to say.
That's
Jordan
what I want to check out.
Maxwell
Yeah.
is like old school, but really amazing. I mean, because will tell you legal speak like legalese is different. Like it has different meanings of what you think, like citizen, et cetera.
And we can all learn this, and everybody listening, check it out, learn it. And then and then once we learn it, we're gonna realize it doesn't matter because we don't have any laws anymore to have this country.
All right, we'll have another laughing monkey. You can chime in on the
It is, yeah, right. It's pretty funny. Um, this is always it's always good to talk to you. I know it's always a pleasure.
pleasure.
I thank you. We got a lot coming on. A lot of people can check out.
Yeah.
Go to the website, New Terms, Create or Die. Is it just New Terms, right?
Wino.com, and like I'm gonna be starting a blog pretty soon, so I'll have all the stuff I'm talking about in a blog pretty soon off of wino-art.com, New Terms.
And actually,
like the umbrella. That's the umbrella corporation, and well, what do you call it? That's our business title, and then wino-art.com is in there as all the music stuff.
is it maritime though, or sorry?
Do you see a gold braid on the flag somewhere? I don't know.
Maritime. No, but actually, so people subscribe to his YouTube, but also go to his website. That's where things are. But even if you just follow him either on Facebook or actually just on Instagram, he'll post. He has these specials where he has art shows. When he has art, he sells specials, or he's got a lot of swag. You have a lot of stuff. Do you still have a lot of stuff?
Actually, I just got a massive. I got a lot of records to sell now from my Italian friend who repopped the Hidden Hand stuff. Basically, the deal we did is I licensed him Mother Teacher Destroyer and the Hidden Hand Divine Propaganda, and also included a live thing. So he pressed a bunch of vinyl. We got a bunch of Hidden Hand vinyl to sell. So different colored vinyls and all kinds of cool shit. But what I wanted to tell you, your subscribers or your listeners is that this is the venue for breaking stuff in my world. So if they tune into you, then they're going to get the skinny.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I'm a very big supporter of you, obviously. Thank you. I want to thank you for being on the show, man. This is as always. And people look for more updates on his stuff, and obviously, on mine too. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.